What's up, guys? Yale Greenfield, aka the Live King. I am back here at the Seminole Hard Rock Casino in the Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood area, staying down on Miami Beach and just enjoying a little bit of time in the beautiful weather down here. Today we're gonna play 5-10, sometimes plays with a straddle, which would be 5-10-25. Last night, I went to Q restaurant in the Wynwood area of Miami. It is a very, very well-known restaurant. It takes weeks to get a reservation there. The things that I would recommend there that we really enjoyed, the cauliflower, herb vinaigrette mixed with goat cheese and shishito peppers. So it's got a nice kick. It's creamy. It's really good. Also, they do a really interesting rendition on Korean fried chicken. And I've had a lot of Korean fried chicken in LA, and I do love Korean fried chicken. Their rendition is done with a house buffalo type sauce. It is quite tasty. And then beef tartare, they do that with a soy cured egg on top and some sort of like house-made Dijon sauce. Also very, very good. And then finally we had the Wagyu brisket. They bring you out kind of like lettuce wraps and mix it with a couple of different types of flavors. And you mix all that up, it's just excellent. One of my favorite spots. For now, we are going to go inside and we're going to fire off in this 5-10, 5-10-25 game and see if we can help pay off that dinner from last night, because those dinners don't come cheap. We'll catch up with you guys later. Very first hand here, and we're off to a bad start because my producer is threatening to fire me if I can't get this recording under control. But we've got two kings in the hijack and make it 75 to go. Only the straddle calls, and he is a winning player down here in South Florida. So heads up in this first pot, 5-10-25, no limit Texas Hold'em. And we flop top set, so excellent start. And when he checks it over to us, I like a small size. I go ahead and make it $50. He quickly puts in the call. When the turn comes in 8 of clubs, it brings in a second potential flush draw. Hands like Jack 9 of hearts come in. Outside of that, I'm not worried about much, and I want to make him pay. So I go a little over pot here. He puts in the call relatively quickly. River's an ace, and I kind of see this as an action-killing card a little bit. He, of course, could have hands like ace-high flush draws, but this is not a great card to get more value on. And the straddle surprises me. He leads 450. And I feel like this is kind of a clown lead, like he's sort of exploiting me a little bit here with something, but I don't really understand what. The only hand that beats us at this point is Queen Jack or Jack 9, and I think Jack 9 maybe would have raised the turn. I don't really know what's going on here. I feel like I'm beat a lot.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Good enough.
And sure enough, we're beat by the open-ended straight draw that gets home. So 5-10, no limit hold'em, no straddle on in this hand. We peel 10-7 of diamonds in the big blind.
25.
Middle position opens to $25. And with this suited gapper, we're going to have an easy defend. We flop bottom 2 on a ace-high board with 2 hearts. Check it over to the opponent, and he bets $100. So almost a 2x overbet here, and we call. Turn is at Jack. We once again check it over. And our opponent goes snap all in, $580. It's almost like he didn't even think about it. And in live poker, you sometimes see people like really overplay their hands. It kind of depends on the guy. Some people might even have 2 aces or ace 10 here, and they're quote unquote scared of getting drawn out on. This is not a strategy that you want to use in poker if you're relatively new to the game. It's not a very linear thought process in my opinion, but back to the hand, I got to make my decision. We've got 2 pair. I don't really know if my 2 pair is good. We don't have to call too frequently facing this size, but folding really isn't fun. So I call.
Twice is fine.
You guys want?
We're going to go 2 boards here. So our opponent reveals queen jack of spades.
I get them both.
No, but I have the 10 and the jack.
I win both. I win two boards.
Oh, I didn't see that. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So obviously I fade him on both boards. I even make a boat on board number 2. But our opponent's quite confused about whether or not he's won one board.
You coming back? All right, have a good one. Seat open, 41.
Never gets old hearing seat open and sending a guy packing. After the first 2 hands, one went our way, one didn't, and we've got Jack 10 offsuit in the cutoff. We make it 30 to go. Only the big blind calls. We get the Queen 8-8 rainbow board, and he checks it over. I'm always going to proceed with the small size here, $20. When he puts in the call, I know that we're going to need a little bit of help on this turn. And bang, that's exactly what we get. So we've got a straight now. Big blind does something that I'm pretty sure isn't a thing. He leads pot. I don't really know what to make of this. Board is paired. I just call. So I think we're basically always ahead here, but let's see what the river brings. And it's a king, changing nothing. And now the opponent goes with overbet. I don't really know this guy. Again, a lot of unknowns in these games. We've got a really good hand. We have to put in the call. And he shows 9-8 for a turned full house. Hitting a gutter and losing a hand is like that beautiful chick liking you back on Tinder and then immediately linking you to her OnlyFans account. After getting whacked in the last hand, no big deal, because we pick up Live King's absolute favorite hand, Ace King suited in the big blind. Middle position, min opens to $20, and the cutoff re-raises him to $110. I want to play for more. I make it 310. Middle position folds, and the cutoff, who was our absolute sworn enemy down here in South Florida, makes the call. Flop is unfavorable for us, 8-7-3 2 clubs, but I'm going to keep telling the story here. I shoot out a bet at 215. Cutoff snap raises. He flicks in 600. I don't think there's a ton we can do here. This hand just doesn't have a lot of equity. He's repping a really strong hand, and I just don't have much. I go ahead and fold, and then I pull out my in-game hot-cold meter, and it tells me that I'm trending in-game cold. Fuck-up season is in full effect, and it's abundantly clear why I didn't get a career as a camera operator. We are in the cutoff with Jack 10 offsuit and make it $30 to go. The button, who is a loose action player, makes it 80. And I don't really know what this sizing means, but I know we're about $1,700 deep, give or take. So I only see one option here. Can't fold, can't raise, gotta call.
I got them in a pot. Now I'm just going to disperse them to you.
Yep.
And boom, we flop the mortal nuts. When I check it over to the button, he goes full pot, $175. And I don't really know what this means, but my best guess is that he really likes his hand here.
$550.
So I go ahead and raise it up, $550. It looks like I was correct. The button is all in for $1,680, and I quickly call. We decide to run it twice.
I don't have a diamond.
You're good.
He tells me I'm good. And he's correct, as he shows ace queen for top. I think he maybe overplayed it a little bit, but he saw the diamonds on board, and I think that made him want to push the action and try to deny me from calling with flush draws. So a nice $3,500 pot when things hadn't been going our way. While we're waiting for the dealer to settle this pot, absolutely no shame in my game. Now would be the perfect time for you to click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're making a push for our first 2,000 subscribers. All right, guys, don't have a good place to shoot this really because they don't give you a lot of time when you're up from the seat here, but there is a hand I have to tell you about, and I'm really sorry I didn't capture it. There is one dealer who every time he sits down at this casino tells me I need to remove my phone from the table, so I don't have a good way of shooting. I often take breaks on his deal, so I make sure I don't miss anything. There was a very big hand that came up that I want to share. Folds to me in the cutoff. It's 5-10-25, so the straddle's on. It folds to me in the cutoff. I open 2 black 8s to $75. The button calls and the straddle calls. And the straddle is a guy who, I don't know, he's been running really good. He talks a lot of shit, kind of like backhanded type stuff. Like, not super obvious, I just find him generally annoying. Gives you a little bit there, but it doesn't affect how we play the hand. 3 ways to the flop, and the flop comes king 8, 5, 2 spades. So the king and the 5 are a spade. It checks to me. I bet $175. The button folds, and the straddle, the guy that I don't like, calls. The turn is a red 10 of diamonds. He checks, and I now bet $800. This is an overbet. I would have some bluffs here. I also like this with some strong value. He tanks for about 30 seconds or so and calls. The river is a 6, a red 6 of hearts. He checks, and right before I'm about to bet, as I'm like thinking a little bit, and I didn't think for very long, he goes, "Don't bother bluffing. My 2 pair are gonna call you." And I'm like, whatever, dude. Like, that wouldn't really change my mind anyway. I don't really know what to say about that. I also don't have like a live read on what that might mean. That's just like not something I really specialize in. It could mean anything. It could mean he wants me to bet. It could mean, I don't know. It could mean he wants me to slow down. So I put in $2,415. That's an all-in bet from me. And he tanks for about 3 minutes and eventually does put in the call. We show and we ship a complete monster. That's probably the biggest pot I've won since I got down to the Seminole Hard Rock down here in South Florida. I'm really sorry I didn't capture it. It's a little bit annoying that this one dealer, every time he sits down, tells me to take my phone off the table. There's really not much I can do about that. And hopefully that dealer will be gone soon from the table and we'll get back inside and resume normal production. So we're gonna go back in, grind a little bit more. I'm one of those people who's often in conversation at the table, and that's what happens here. I was talking, got confused, recorded a little bit late once again. So we've got 8-7 of hearts in cutoff, and the low jack raises to $100. So whenever this guy is frustrated, he has a tendency to tell me how tight I play. So I go ahead and raise it to $325. And the irony is, when somebody thinks you're really tight, it actually gives you the opportunity to play way looser than you probably should. And that's really fun. Low jack does put in the call, and we're off to a king queen 7 rainbow flop. I like this flop for our range here. So I bet $225. Low jack calls. The turn's a 9, and he once again checks it over to us. I think this is one of the worst cards in the deck because he's got every combination of Jack 10, and it makes a lot of sense. I would be frequently checking this card in sequence with my entire holdings, so I check it back. When the river's a 6, low jack checks, and now I have weeks of play with this guy down here in South Florida. I don't think that he would triple check a hand like a king or sets, or definitely not Jack 10. I'm thinking, let's turn this pair of 7s into a bluff. I bet $775. This guy has a propensity to just peel a little too wide on flops and then kind of give up later. He's not sure what he wants to do. He's in the tank a little bit here. But he verbalizes fold, and I'm quite happy about that because a tank of that amount of time means he probably had us beat. So we get away with one here in this last hand. Okay, guys, that is the end here tonight. A little tired, about 7.5 hours into the session. I'm gonna call it quits. The game had ups and downs in terms of game quality, but overall, pretty good game. It's like a combination of like pros and recs and whatever. I'm just gonna fucking say it. The pros down here are weak. They definitely battle a little more in LA. I mean, LA, they're just a little bit tougher. They battle a little harder. I think they're used to a lot of tough competition. And here in Florida, I just think they're not. I'm not saying that the Florida game's better than the LA game because of that, because I really don't think it is. I think it's kind of equal in a lot of ways. A lot of it is just who you catch and when. The pros down here are just not as tough as Vegas or LA from my experience. And now that I've gotten to know them, you know, with some of them you can be adversarial, you could be congenial. I can be a little adversarial, but I'm friendly with some of them now, friendly enough. As I've moderated and calmed down over the years, I think I've gotten better about, as opposed to being more adversarial, trying to just kind of blend in a little more with what's going on in the locale that I'm in. I sometimes find that boring. I sometimes would rather be a little more adversarial, a little crazier, and I still do have those moments, you know. Poker's a fucking war. That's how I see it. Final numbers, we were in for 2,300, out for 61.81. That's a profit of 38.81. You know, the game mostly did play with a $25 straddle today, so it's a nice win, but it's not outsized. You know, I say it all the time. In these straddle games, I mean, it's easy to lose 3, 4, 5, 6 grand on a given day. It's a nice win, and I'm always happy to have gotten that win. That's it, guys. If you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. Me and my producer really appreciate it. All the comments you guys have been leaving on the recent videos have been really thoughtful and kind. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think of my play, or if you want to know something about Miami, the Seminole Hard Rock, Wynwood, whatever it is that you want to know, I'd be happy to do my best to answer that. I will catch up with you guys later. Live King out.